they got to her locker, the other cornflakes were almost changed into their PE clothes. Willoughby slung her arm around Sophie's shoulder and pressed their cheeks together, her almost dark curls tickling Sophie's face. She was the only one of them who was short enough to do that, and even she was a few inches taller than tiny Sophie. "You're the best," she said in her bouncy voice. "Trash can again?" Fiona said. Sophie rolled her eyes. Maggie shook her head at Kitty so hard that her Cuban dark hair splashed against her cheeks. "Boys are just lame." There was a grunt from a few lockers down. Julia Cummings, the tall leader of the Corn Pops, tossed back her auburn hair. "Someday you'll grow up and change your mind," Julia said. She smirked at Anne Stewart, one of her fellow popular girls, who gave the usual juicy sniff. She was pale and thin, and Sophie had never known her not to need a Kleenex. "Grow up?" said BJ, the chubby-cheeked corn pop. "I don't think so." A girl who had strawberry blonde hair trailing down her back laughed, way loud, and looked at Julia like a puppy waiting for a treat. She was Cassandra Combs, the newest corn pop wannabe. Sophie hoped the pops would leave, but they just went back to putting on lip gloss. Sophie went into slow motion as she turned to the locker she and Kitty shared, dialing each number on the lock with precise care. "You're gonna be late one of these days," Maggie said. Willoughby went into the arm motions for a cheer. "Class won't be so bad today, Soph. All we're doing is running the track, and if you keep going, Coach Yates won't yell at you." "Coach hates," Fiona put in. Sophie kept her eyes away from them. "It takes me longer because I'm helping Kitty," she said. Kitty pulled off her bright pink t-shirt, revealing the tiny porthole in her chest just above her bra. Kitty had leukemia, and the hole was where a tiny tube had been inserted so the doctors could give her the chemotherapy medicine, which hopefully would stop her disease, through the tube instead of having to give her shots. Sophie crowded in close until Kitty pulled on the white tee with GMMS for Great Marsh Middle School, sprawled across the front in the red and blue school colors. "Thanks, Sophie," Kitty whispered as she slipped off the quilted hat that matched Sophie's. Sophie replaced it at lightning speed with a red bandana. Only when Kitty's bald head was covered did Sophie step back. So far, most of the corn pops hadn't seen the hole or gotten a close-up view of Kitty's head, and Sophie wanted to keep it that way. Even though chemotherapy had made all Kitty's hair fall out, Sophie and the cornflakes thought Kitty's naked head made her blue eyes seem bigger and bluer than ever, and her tiny nose look even more like a piece of fine china. But Sophie knew there would be no end to the corn pops blurting out things like, "I wouldn't even come to school if I looked like that." Just as she always did, Sophie whipped off her own cap like a knight removing his armored helmet at the end of a tournament, revealing her peach-fuzzed head before she tied on her bandana. Kitty giggled. "You're so brave, Sophie." "They can't hurt me," Sophie said. "Besides, it's only hair." "Or lack of," Fiona said. She stood up from tying her tennis shoes. "You coming?" "I'm not ready yet," Sophie said. "I was helping Kit." "You were fostering about is what you were doing," Darby said. Maggie gave a matter-of-fact nod. "You're going to get detention if you aren't there when Coach Yates blows her whistle." "Your father will take your camera," Fiona put in, "and then we won't be able to make our next movie." "I'm coming!" Sophie snapped. All 5 pairs of eyes widened, and Sophie softened her voice. "You guys go ahead, okay?" The flakes left. So did the pops, finally. Sophie could now get into her gym clothes without them seeing that, unlike every other 7th-grade girl on Earth, she didn't even wear a bra yet. She still looked